Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. I see a few people coming in. Not a lot, right? But a few. Gosh, I'm still sick. I am feeling better, but I am still sick. I didn't end up going to the doctor today because, well, I feel better. So I figured, what the heck, right? I um I haven't even taken any cold medicine today, so I'm trying to get my head back together, because all that cold medicine was just making me where I didn't feel like I could think or concentrate on anything. So, and it wasn't helping. So, if I have to cough and snort and snot and everything, I do apologize in advance. So, hey, Marilyn, Darcy, it's good to see both of you here. I see we've got a few more that aren't in the chat right now. Um, I do welcome everybody. If you're new here, this is But First Coffee with Susie Oberholtz. I am Susie Oberholtz. We generally talk about cults and um, cult behaviors and just all that kind of thing. Specifically, Scientology. We are an anti-Scientology channel, but we're also here as a safe place for everybody to come. We worry about people's mental health and how they handle the tough times in life. And so we do a lot of those kind of channels. And so I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud. We kind of didn't start out that way, but it kind of evolved, right? And I'm really proud of how our channel has evolved. We have gained a few viewers, lost a few viewers, but I do believe that the people that are here now are here because they want to be. And that makes me very happy because I want to be here. I truly want to be here. And I thank every single one of you that comes in. Hey, Jersey, I see you too. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. I do know that some of the shorts that I posted while we were on vacation did bring in some new viewers. I saw that on the stats in the back office. I did notice that, and I appreciate that, and I hope you stick around if you're new. And we absolutely oh gosh. Thanks, Marilee. That's a lot of makeup, believe me. But thank you. And Jersey, that's very sweet. But but yeah, we appreciate everyone that's here, and we hope you stick around. We really do. So today we will be talking about 9/11, September 11th, 2001. And I know that you all have probably just been inundated with not only YouTube shows about that today, but also on regular TV and cable and everything. It was a huge, huge event that I don't consider it just a United States event. I consider it a global event because it did affect the entire world. And so that's kind of how I want to look at that today. I am going to read a lot of what I've written just because I don't want to mess it up and I don't want to forget anything. And y'all know that I I completely freak out if I think that I have messed up something or left something important out. So, yeah, we do, Jan. We do have some new viewers. I hope they stick around. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started because I've kind of already kept track of everybody that's in the chat. So, anyway, goodness. Tonight's live is to honor those lost on September 11th, 2001, and after that day, due to the terrorist suicide attack. I don't count the terrorists as victims in this, but it also doesn't escape my knowledge that in some ways they were also victims of Osama bin Laden and his indoctrination of them. It really is no different than how cult members are indoctrinated. And as we have seen, especially recently, with some of the things that we've looked into, cults are often extremely volatile and extremely dangerous and, you know, unalive people. So, I'm trying, y'all. I am trying to see them as both victim and perpetrators. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, but I'm not quite there yet. I really don't have a whole lot of forgiveness in my heart for them, but I want to. I really do. But I'm just not yet ready to include them as victims. And so in the numbers that I list, they are not included. So, oops. um, yeah, I did mention that it was a suicide mention or mission, sorry. And I really, since this is National Suicide Prevention Month, I want to say, in addition to those killed that day or have died due to health related issues because of that day, I just really want to say that we're so deeply sorry and we're so deeply sorry for your family's loss. And I also want to mention that 35 more lives that we know of, that we can count, were lost to suicide because of September 11th, 2001. That's on top of the others. And it's not even everybody. We know that there are names that we don't know, but we do know of those. And it's heartbreaking. So, as I go through the information that I share tonight, I urge you to put your thoughts and your memories into the chat. I really want to hear from you. If you're on the replay, please make comments. I read every single comment and I respond to most, if not all comments. If you want to, you can come on stage. I'll put a link in the chat and you're welcome to come on stage. Uh, I don't care how long tonight's live goes because tonight we remember, right? Tonight's about remembering. Tonight we are united like we were in the aftermath of that horror. So, anyway, I wanted to do a live about the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, and I had it all ready. I've been planning this, and I even worked on it some on vacation. And I had it all ready, and honestly, today I threw my notes away. I'm kinda notorious for doing that, just being like, "Screw it. That's not what I want." So I threw them out on purpose, and I sat down and I rewrote it. So, I actually had most of the first version memorized, so I don't have this one memorized, y'all. And what really stirred me was that I kept thinking that, we know the ugly facts of it, but I really want to focus on the good that came out immediately after the attacks and after. But I have to mention the bad because I want it said as an honor to those that died or to those that lost loved ones or those that just lived through it, through the especially the people in New York and on airplanes that day. I wanna mention these things because of that, but I'm really gonna focus on the good. So, we know that on September 11th, 2001, Al-Qaeda hijackers commandeered 4 commercial airplanes and carried out coordinated attacks. We know that 2 of those planes hit the North and South World Trade Center buildings in New York City. We know a third struck the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and that the 4th plane crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after heroic passengers and flight attendants fought back. We know all that, but it is important to say it, to remember it. What we might not know is that as of 2025, nearly 50,000 individuals have been diagnosed with 9/11 related cancers. 8,200 that we know of so far have died from health issues resulting from those terrorist attacks, cancer, emphysema, different things. And that doesn't count the ones that have taken their own lives. We all know so much, and I pray that we never forget it because I truly believe that remembering it honors those lost, honors the lives that those 19, I want to say monsters, but then I also wanna remember that they were also indoctrinated and also victims, so I'm very much struggling with this. But it honors the lives of those 19 people and Al Qaeda and Assa and Bin Laden took on that day and since. But what often gets forgotten is that although it did happen on US soil, it was a global attack. I don't know if they really understood the depth of the attack when they did it, but I think that they knew that they were sending a worldwide message. Citizens from over 90 countries died in the attacks. Roughly 372 foreign nationals died that day. The largest groups outside the US include 67 from the UK, 24 from Canada, 41 from India, 47 from the Dominican Republic, 16 from Jamaica, 16 from Mexico, and 24 from Japan. But similar numbers were also lost from Ireland, Australia, Colombia, Trinidad, South Korea, and many more. It truly was global. I'm not gonna go into the political impact of it or how it changed our security procedures. We know those things. What I really wanna focus on is the love that was shown that day. I'm sorry. I wanna show the magnitude or to show the magnitude of the horror. I had to revisit those numbers. I mean, I think that we need it, and the children, and I say children, basically anyone born after that, need to hear those numbers, need to understand what this is all about, what need to understand why we have such crazy security measures in airports and other places. It needs to be remembered. Those lives need to be remembered. But now I do wanna focus on the love, on the humanity, the things that we very much kind of push aside. They're not, you know, sexy as the media calls it. It's not flashy and, you know, it just doesn't make great headlines supposedly, but that's the headlines that I wanna read, that I think that you wanna read. I wanna talk about the things that we must never forget. I'm gonna start with Canada. I have so many viewers and mods from Canada that I absolutely have to start there. When US airspace closed, Canada said, "We got you." They launched Operation Yellow Ribbon, and Canada took in 255 planes carrying more than an astounding 33,000 passengers. Imagine whole towns doubling in size just in a day. One of the most famous that we heard about was Gander, Newfoundland. Population 10,000. They took in 6,700 people. That's almost their entire population. These people were blurry-eyed, scared, and far from home. The thing was that for so many of these passengers that were diverted to these other countries, they didn't even know what had happened. They didn't know until they landed in these countries what had even happened. I can't imagine. I mean, we fly all the time, and I just can't imagine. I have put myself in their position so much over the last few days and tried to imagine being on a plane headed, on vacation or for a work trip or, whatever. And suddenly, we've been diverted to Canada. We've been diverted to Gander, Newfoundland. Newfoundland. I can't speak today. Sorry. I can't. I can't imagine. And you're like, why? What's going on? Because you know that there was whispers and people were trying to, get online. And some planes have uh, capabilities, to get online. But I don't know how strong those capabilities were in 2001. But, yeah, Gander opened schools, churches, and living rooms. Regular citizens brought food, bedding, and toiletries and literally took people home with them. They did that in Canada too. They did it in every country that helped. Can you imagine just going to the airport and just bringing people home? Right? Mm. In Shannon and Dublin, Ireland, airports became makeshift hotels. Planes bound for the US were rerouted, and the Irish rolled out the Irish hospitality. People still talk about it. It is amazing. Passengers rerouted being greeted with blankets, tea, and a smile. And again, folks were taken into nearby villages, into family homes. I just remember seeing it all on TV and seeing how they were having to gather everybody back up to, to get them home afterward, and the tears and the hugs watching people that had not known each other right before that, but now are chosen family, just like our group here. Keflavik, Iceland is tiny. The airport is by no means large, but it became mighty. Several transatlantic flights landed there. Can you imagine their little airport? It and all of a sudden there's these transatlantic flights coming in that you're not expecting. Local towns opened gyms, schools, and again, homes. Yeah. Imagine being stranded on an island in the North Atlantic and locals say, "Don't worry, we got you." I think that needs to be a motto for our channel. We got you. It just it seems to fit. Germany and the UK stepped up too. Frankfurt, Munich, Heathrow, Manchester, they'd all took in flights. Airports turned into giant sleepovers, not glamorous sleepovers by any stretch. There wasn't any glamping, y'all, but safe. And at times like that, safe is everything. And again, I just think about these people getting off these planes and they don't know what's went on. I remember seeing, the media covered the airports when people were getting off planes and places and they just looked like, what's going on? And then they even showed people when they would see it on the monitors, on the TVs in the airport, they would see it and they would just fall to their knees crying. And that was everywhere. It was every airport. It was hmm. And here's one that y'all might not know. Cuba. Yes, Cuba. They opened their airspace, at least temporarily, y'all, to US planes in emergencies that day. Politics didn't matter, humanity did. We need to always remember that. We need to always remember all of that. Beyond the planes, the whole world rushed to help. NATO invoked Article 5, which meant that an attack on one is an attack on all. And that was the first time that that had happened in history. That's pretty important. And I know I wasn't gonna talk about politics, but that one's pretty important. Countries sent rescue teams and search dogs and medical staff immediately. As soon as they could get flights into the country, they were here. And some of them have become ill. In the US, we don't have records on all of the people that came from other countries to include, their deaths or illness or unaliving themselves. We don't have all the records on that. So the numbers are probably much larger than what we know. Candlelight vigils lit up in cities from Sydney to Paris to Cape Town. Y'all, it was the whole planet saying, "We hurt with you." Evil knocked that day, but love, compassion, and humanity answered. So many of us have said that we wish that we could be the people that we were on September 12th. Not the fearful, numb part, the compassion, the unity, the not giving a damn what country you're from or what religion you are or what political party you are. We were one. We were one with the world, and a lot of us just wish so badly that we could continue to be that. It's sad we can't even continue as one country, and yet on that several days, months, and even years after, we were one with the world for the most part, other than terrorists, obviously. So the point for tonight's live is that we will clearly never forget the hate, the horror, the deaths of September 11th, 2001. But we must also never allow ourselves to forget the love, the human kindness. Those 19 terrorists took so much from us. But the big fuck you to them is what they gave us, or at least reminded us of. I'm going to go to the chat in just a few minutes and I want to get your thoughts and your memories. And if anyone wants to come on stage, please let me know. Or one of my mods can get my attention because, I'm kind of flighty sometimes, y'all. I will provide the link, or you can just share in the chat. That's perfectly fine. Or in the comments afterwards. In the comments afterwards, you can write a novel and it'll let you. So I want us to just remember that even in the absolute darkest of times, we can all be someone's gander. We truly can. Oops, doesn't belong there. I just have a few more things I wanted to go over. Just a few things that I found while looking some of this up. So there's actually like 21 of them. I'll try to go fast. Um, Number one is over 4,000 planes in U.S. airspace were ordered to land immediately. It didn't matter where they were headed. They were ordered to land at the nearest airport that could take them. That's that's crazy. It's amazing that it was able to be pulled off. But if you think about 4,000 planes full of people that are displaced, that's a lot. That is so much. I never will ever forget Operation Yellow Ribbon in Canada, but the operation that went on in Gander inspired a Broadway show, a musical called Come From Away, which is pretty amazing. A, um, a commercial flight from London to Washington was diverted to Canada. The notable part about that is that, It had Prime Minister Tony Blair's wife and children on it, so I'm glad they got diverted to Canada, right? They got to actually go home, but, he had to be terrified too. It just shows that, even political figures and everything, they're us, right? They're people when it comes right down to it. Number 4 is that only 18 people escaped floors above where the planes hit in the Twin Towers. Only 18. It's amazing, honestly, that any did, though. Number 5, a man named Stanley Pramnith survived being trapped when the plane's wing literally pinned him under his desk. Wow. That that is there are miracles, y'all. There are miracles. Number 6 is the World Trade Center burned for 99 days until December 20th of 2001. I think that we sometimes forget, we think of it as that day, but no, it went on for 99 days while those firemen and different people were actively searching. It was still on fire. Number 7, a sycamore tree outside of St. Paul's Chapel across from the World Trade Center. It was knocked down by debris, and the locals, they saw it as kind of a symbol, and of having shielded the chapel, and it became a major relief hub. My chair's squeaking because I'm squeaking. I'm moving around. Sorry. Number 8, I didn't even realize this one. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. Congress literally had no escape plan. They didn't have any kind of a plan in place, and so everybody just ran out onto the lawn and into the streets, just like chickens with their heads cut off, and they had to round them up and get them to safe locations. I mean, they had safe locations, but they didn't have a plan with how to get them there. They do now. Number 9 is Vice President Cheney was so worried about more attacks that he ordered fighter jets to be, in the air and ready to shoot down any hijacked planes that you know, didn't land immediately. If they didn't land immediately, that was a pretty clear sign that they were being hijacked. Luckily, it didn't happen. Number 10 is President Bush's first public address that night was in the Oval Office, but his teleprompter didn't work. He's probably thinking, "Damn, of all the times," right? So he read from his handwritten notes. So his first public address, was kind of ad libbed. I bet that was really, I mean, honestly, it seems so minute, but if you think about it, that was probably the first time in decades that had happened, that a president had read from just like, I've got my cards. Number 11, the North Tower was the first struck at 8:46 a.m., but the South Tower collapsed first at 9:59 a.m. Number 12, September 11th is the anniversary of the 1973 coup in Chile, where President Allende was overthrown, a coincidence that a lot of conspiracy theorists often highlight. On September 11th, 1941, exactly 60 years earlier, construction began on the Pentagon. That one's eerie to me. Number 14, again, citizens from over 90 countries died in the attacks. Number 15, in Germany, researchers found no spike in suicides after 9/11, showing psychological shock was felt differently abroad than in the US. Number 16 is that Cuba did briefly open their airspace despite tensions that were going on at the time between them and us. Number 17, see, we're almost done. Actor Steve Buscemi, a former New York City firefighter, quietly returned to his former station and worked 12-hour shifts searching rubble, and he worked for months. There were no cameras, no publicity. He just quietly went back to work. Number 18, a guide dog named Roselle led her blind owner down 78 flights of stairs in the North Tower to safety. That one is amazing. Number 19, one of the youngest victims was Christine Hansen, age 2. She was on United Flight 175. Number 20, cell service was so jammed that many survivors inside the towers used email, pagers, or AOL Instant Messenger to get messages out. Some that didn't survive, too. And number 21 is, I kind of bunched all this together here. On a typical day, about 50,000 people work in the World Trade Center around the clock, at some point, not all at the same time, is what I'm trying to say. On September 11th, 2001, estimates suggest that about 17,400 people were inside at the time that the planes hit. Roughly 14,000 to 15,000 people escaped before the collapses happened, which means that 80% survived. What a good point to end that on, right? I absolutely I'm just very, moved, and I wanted to remember the good things. I wanted to remember the humanity. I think that our mental health needs to remember the good parts, I mean, nothing was good, but you know what I mean, the good that came of it. I am gonna check the starred comments, and then we'll go back through there. Please comment if you have something that you would like to share. You don't have to come on stage, but you're absolutely welcome to. Mare says, "I haven't watched any of it. I just keep remembering how Gander, Newfoundland stepped up." Absolutely. Absolutely. That was such a tiny little place, and they just did so much. I mean, just like, Iceland, It's amazing. It truly is amazing. Marilee says, "I was walking to work and my phone rang. Foster daughter was calling in shock. She was really scared, but we talked about it and she was okay." That's awesome. That truly is awesome. Okay, let's see here. Gander, Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver took in planes and passengers. Aw, Gander still has the plane people return. I know. I think it's amazing. Like I said, families were created, lifelong friendships were made, and that's another, FU to the terrorists. Yeah, it made me so proud to be Canadian and have roots in Newfoundland. Newfoundland, yeah. I know, Mary, you are absolutely a patriotic soul, you truly are. Oh, wow. Jersey Jan says, "When 9/11 happened, I was working for a publishing company. We put together a photographic book of images from that day. One image was of a pair of boots set aside with a note for the boots owner from his fellow first responders. His team couldn't find him. My neighbor was the f- was at the time or My neighbor at the time had a son who was friends with this first responder as kids. He was presumed dead. His team never found him." Yeah, we had a lot of that kind of thing. It never ceases to just gut you when you hear it even all this time later. Ben says, "I was as far removed from it as anyone could be, but hearing one of my friends, then Special Agent Robin Drake, talk about it made it hit home and not yeah, and not just pictures on TV." Absolutely. Um, I believe it was the last time that Mark and I maybe not the last time. Anyway, we were in, St. Thomas on vacation, and there was actually a couple there. We actually took pictures up for them when they got engaged. And, anyway, they had been both of them at the Pentagon. They were, Secret Service, and they were at the Pentagon when it happened, and it just, you know, hearing their stories and just knowing that they had been right there, and that they could have easily died, and I don't know, it just really it really brought it to me, and I went back and looked at those pictures today whenever I was rewriting this. I looked at the pictures that I had taken and Mark had taken of them. It was so cute how he planned their proposal, and thank God she said yes, because what a mess if she hadn't. But yeah, it was out at sea. We were out on a cruise in the Caribbean, and he proposed, and it was beautiful, and more beautiful because they had both been there. They were actually both still training, so it was something else. I do have 3 little pictures that I wanna show before I get completely sidetracked and forget. Um, this first one, I have never been able to get the the picture of President Bush, let me move that out of my head. This was the face of President Bush as he's told in front of elementary students at Sarasota, Florida, about the attack, and I think that if you look at his face, regardless of, you know, your political leanings, I think his face just says so much. I Every time I look at his face, I see a different emotion, and, I will never, ever, ever, yeah, I'll never forget that image as long as I live. I know, I saw the video of it when they showed, and the look on his face, I don't know. This Democrat actually voted for him and completely fell in love with him in a very platonic way that day, and I've never stopped just adoring him because I saw that he was absolutely human, much like Obama with the school shootings. It was just those moments, just whoever happened to be president at that time, to see them be so human was amazing. This next one is the heroes of Flight 93. Jason Dahl, Thomas Burnett Jr., Mark Rothenberg, Mark Bingham, Jeremy Glick, along with flight attendants Deborah Walsh and Cece Ross. Cece's picture is kind of covered up by our little deal, and I don't know how to take that off, but I'm going to put these in our in the whatever they call that, so you can go look at them later. But anyway, I know there were a lot of heroes that day, but these people really, who knows how many lives they saved and who. Absolutely. I mean, causing that plane to crash out in the middle of a field was brilliant and heroic, and I don't. And the last one is just a reminder of patriotism and bravery with actor Steve Buscemi, former New York City firefighter who quietly returned to his former station to work and has suffered greatly for it. He has suffered with PTSD. His life was never the same after that, has never been the same. Um, he talks very openly about his struggle with PTSD, but the fact that he just went back to work, he just went back to work. There's a picture of him on the left-hand side of it when he was younger and in a, firefighter, but he just went back. He It was amazing that he really didn't draw any attention for a long time. People didn't know. And and the ones that did kept it quiet. Let him work, which is pretty amazing. It is absolutely pretty amazing. It just speaks to the bigger issue, right? It wasn't about celebrity or whatever. It was about humanity and love and respect and kindness, and we were all a little more kind then than we are today, and I wish that we would go back to that. So Marilee says a woman from Texas ended up marrying a man from the UK after meeting in Gander. That's wonderful. I didn't see that. I was looking up all kinds of random things, and didn't see that one. I better put that back on. So, let's see here. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the chat and see what I've missed. I'll skip over where you're just saying hi. Yeah, Jan, I'm still not feeling well, but way, way, way better. Jersey says, "Was there an additional plane that we weren't told about?" I don't think so. I think that that's just a conspiracy theory, but, um, yeah, the 2 in New York, the one at the Pentagon and the one in the field 4 that I've ever heard of. I've heard, things, but nothing confirmed. They turned the ice shrink into a giant walk-in fridge. That's amazing. That's yeah. Darcy 3 says, "Wow, that's cool, Mare." Yeah, no pun intended, right? Mm, yeah, Jersey says, It really shook me up and brought it a little closer to home." Yeah, absolutely, Mare, he managed to keep it quiet. "Hey, Allison, I guess you're Indigo? It's good to see you. I'll try to remember that so that you might have to remind me." Yeah, is that the Kool-Aid man on my top? Yeah. It says, "Let's start a cult." A friend bought it for me, and I've been gonna wear it, and I was like, "Well, I'll stick it on there today. It's silly. Just, a little bit of humor sometimes in those, tough moments." Yeah. Shh, they're undercover. Yeah. Indigo. Yeah. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Yeah, he was in, oh, I just lost the name of that movie. Armageddon? I've always just loved him, and what's really funny is he looks so much like a really good friend of ours that every time I see him, I just automatically think of our friend Daryl, and I think Daryl's nicer looking than he is, not to be ugly, but I do think that he's nicer looking than him, but they could be brothers. I'm serious. Yeah, I was disappointed when the country's attitude started to revert back to before 9/11. I agree, Jersey. I absolutely do. We definitely pulled together and were more neighborly. I think it made us realize what we took for granted. I was 13. Wow. Wow. I do wanna get with you also. I've not forgot that I wanna have you on. I just was on vacation and kinda shoved everything to the side for a little bit, but I absolutely do. Yeah. Aw. No worries, Susie. I'm on my phone in bed. I'm sick too. I got it from my sister's kids. Oh, that is awful. Darcy's thanks, healing prayers. Yes. Get well soon. I had forgot about Con Air. I remember now though, he was the creepy one, right? Yeah, but who was actually, didn't do anything, but he was just kind of there's a gnat, and you know how those flies and stuff like to go straight in my mouth. Ugh, Ben. Ben will tell you if it does. Con Air and Armageddon, and oh, the movie with the dude was was what he was known for. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear you're sick too, Indigo. I really am. Be prepared for a 2-hour show? No, we won't. Barely gonna make an hour. Maybe tomorrow night. Yes, The Big Lebowski. Yeah, with Nick Nolte. Well, guys, I have really, um, strangely enjoyed this, reminiscing about the good that happened. It's always, I think, very important to look at the good and not just to relive the bad over and over, although we do have to remember the bad because, if what is it they say, like, if not for the rain, you wouldn't appreciate the sun or something like that. So I think that that is true. And, anyway, I just want us to remember that they took a lot from us, but they also didn't succeed in taking everything from us. We are still better, better for it, actually, better than they are. And, we got Bin Laden. So, yeah. We need to do a Ben Bacon Bits trivia night. We truly do. That would be good. I would absolutely lose, but we need to do one. Uh, I need a game night, y'all. I need a fun game night of some sort. I've got several little games that we could manage. So if anybody's up for game night, let me know and I'll put you on the list. And, we'll have more than one. I'd like to do, a couple a month would be great, I think. I just think it would be absolutely yeah. Yeah. Allison or Hallison. She says we'll keep it to an hour so Mischief doesn't reprimand me. She keeps the time. Yeah. A game night would be fun. So anyway, I am gonna go. Thank you guys for being here and just letting me ramble on. I just went on and on with the good things, but I think that we need to remember those. I really do. And, we see enough of the bad every day. So I'm gonna go. I love you. I'm gonna go eat some dinner. I'm starving. Thank you. Thank you. Indigo. I will. I will feel better. Yeah, thanks for being here for this rough day, y'all. Thank you. And tomorrow we're going to have Ben Bacon Bits and Hockeytown John on for a talk about suicide prevention month and how we need to be paying attention to the men in our lives. They they manage stress so much different than women do, and the numbers show that when they attempt it, they succeed almost almost all the time. And so, yeah, Silver Fox and Velvet Voice, and I get to be there with them. I wish we could be, like, in the same room, but we'll be on the same stage. Almost good enough. So, anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee, and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those